Welcome to the Social Selling Show with myself, Will Barron. I'm the founder over at salesman.org and the king of social selling, Daniel Disney. Daniel, how's it going, my friend?
It is going very well. We're excited to be back for another episode, and today to dig in a bit deeper into the world of content. Our last episode, I loved recording, so I'm excited to go a bit further into content and really unlock some of the other secrets.
Amazing stuff. Well, this is definitely a part 2. If you've not listened to part 1 of, LinkedIn content feed breakdown and analysis by myself and Daniel, it will be in the show notes or the comments below this video, wherever you're consuming it, because it's going all over the place. So it'll be below this video. So make sure you check out that episode first. So let's jump right into it, because I feel like we can go almost rapid fire through some of these. LinkedIn polls. Should this be part of our weekly content mix on LinkedIn, or is this monthly? Are they effective? Does it need to be a great poll, or can we just throw a question out there? How effective are polls to get an engagement with our potential or our ideal buyer persona?
Polls are performing really well at the moment, Will. And I mean, it's something I would do probably no more than once or twice a month. I think if you're doing it every week, unless you've got really great engaging questions to ask, it's probably going to be quite tricky. But that is the key. You need to be asking questions that are genuinely sort of exciting and engaging to your audience. You want them to either want to contribute, or B, want to see the results. And this is one of the most clever things that LinkedIn has done. For you to see the results of a poll, you have to vote. So they have created it in a way that is going to drive engagement. So either create a poll where people have a strong opinion and will want to add their thoughts, or that they're going to be so curious to see what the results are and what everyone else is voting for, that they're going to vote to see the results. So yeah, polls are really good. But again, make sure they're engaging, they're valuable. And what I'd recommend is, again, look at the two types of polls. Have polls relevant to your industry so that you can gather insights and data that either might help you identify customers or might give you some data that you can share as valuable content in the future. And then create some polls on a slightly more rarer basis that are purely there to drive engagement, but in a fun way. I did a poll on a company page the other day, and it was if you had to give up one, what would you give up? And there was Facebook, Apple, Amazon, nothing relevant to the product, but it drove huge engagement, and it just got people talking. Whereas I might then do a post a couple of weeks later saying, do you use Sales Navigator, yes or no? And I can look at all the people that voted yes and, try and promote to them a Sales Navigator course. And I can look at the people no and promote to them something else. So lots of value. It's all about doing it right.
That's so smart. And one of the things I love about this show is every time we record, we come up with 17 more episode topics. So I feel like another episode topic could be how to measure engagement, how to A/B test what works, so that we can suss out for our own audience, because every audience is going to be different, what we should be posting. So perhaps we'll do that in a future topic. Next up, and we covered this very briefly in part 1, but and I've never actually seen them. This is how crazy it is, right? There's so much going on LinkedIn. I don't have the app on my phone, so I've never seen a LinkedIn story. What the heck is a LinkedIn story? Is it exactly the same as an Instagram story? Should we be using it, and what should we be posting on there?
It is exactly the same as an Instagram story. So on the mobile app, when you log into LinkedIn, it's got the little circles, exactly the same as Instagram, with people's faces. You click on them and people share stories. Essentially, they're micro content. Now, when they first launched, there was quite a bit of popularity. There was also a lot of people that hated them because it is more personal social media type content as opposed to the professional stuff. And, the LinkedIn police were quick to criticize it. But they have their place. I have seen them die out significantly since then. So they're not getting much attention. But there is still a benefit. I'd recommend utilizing them. I think a lot of it depends on the type of person that you are. What I will say, and we covered this in the last episode, the general rule of thumb with the algorithm on LinkedIn is to post once per day. With stories, you can post several a day because they're micro content. They're snippets. People will literally skip through them, and you could post 4 to 5 a day, and that's not going to be seen as intrusive because it's not appearing in the feed. They'd have to click on it and skip through it. They get control. They can do it quickly. So it is slightly different rules. But again, it definitely, I think, aligns to your personality. If you're quite outgoing, if you are quite a content creator, then stories can work well, but they're not in any way to sort of take attention away from core content.
Sure. So am I right in thinking that an example here should be that, and I should be doing this when I sit down to write the show notes, I'm making it for this episode because it's so based around LinkedIn. I should be documenting that. I should be documenting jumping on a call with you. I should be documenting when you say at the end of the show, goodbye. And the slogan that you're bringing up here, Daniel, these examples are what we should be putting in our LinkedIn story.
Yeah, exactly. You're documenting your day. So you might do a screenshot of you and I having this chat. Then you might take a photo of the notes you've got on paper, and you might record a little selfie, lots of different things like that, where people are then really seeing what you're doing and learning more about you. And it does help build personal brand and help you're going to be reaching another pocket of people.
Yeah, because I know this doesn't translate totally, but on Instagram, maybe I get, say, 100 likes on a post, whatever. I don't focus on Insta. The only thing I care about is really YouTube, podcasts, and then number 2, which is going to become more important over time, as we kind of do a behind the scenes post and content that the audience will see in the next few months. It will become LinkedIn. That'll be the next most important platform for me. But I know on Instagram, if I post something, maybe get 100 likes, 200 likes. But if I post a story, it immediately, within like minutes, has thousands and thousands of views. So I guess it's down to LinkedIn now as to what they want to prioritize over time. But clearly, there's people who do like that kind of short, to the point content. Okay. This is perhaps, again, a story for a content piece for a full episode on its own right, as it becomes more and more important. But LinkedIn Live. So I don't have access to this. I think there's a form you can fill out, and I'm pretty sure I'd get access to it with the amount of video content that we produce. But should we be doing LinkedIn Lives? Because that's a way bigger time suck than writing posts and being able to schedule them ahead of time.
Yeah, LinkedIn Lives are great. You are right, Will. You have to apply first. So you have to go to linkedin.com and there's an application form for you to fill in. I had to apply, I think, 4 times before I got approved.
Oh, wow.
Seems to be a common thread. Most people have to apply anywhere between 3, 6+ times before they get approved. And it's mainly because LinkedIn is inundated with these applications and obviously trying to filter through them in the best way possible. So do keep at it. The other key thing to note with it is it's not done through LinkedIn. So whereas on Facebook, you log into Facebook, you click go live and you're live, with LinkedIn, you have to do it through a third-party platform. So I use something called StreamYard. LinkedIn literally gives you a list of recommended platforms you can use. I will log into StreamYard, click go live, and then it streams it through LinkedIn, and you can connect it to your other platforms as well. But live content is super engaging. It's video to the next level. It's you there. You could do interviews with experts. You could, discuss things internally, have someone like a product expert from your company, share some insights. It's engaging content. It does drive good views. It can drive great engagement when you've got people asking questions and commenting. It should definitely be a part of the content strategy. But you need to be confident on video. You need to be competent on video. You need to have the right things set up to do it. So it's not something necessarily that every sales rep in an organization should be doing, but definitely as a company, you should have some live presence.
So on this show, and both yourself and your training and my training as well, we're all about being real about this. It's now the beginning of February as we record this episode. I'm going to apply for LinkedIn Live today and probably tomorrow from the sound of things and probably the week after until I get on. And as soon as we're approved, me and you can do a live Q&A. I'll host it from the salesman.org studios. So just to document the journey of getting on LinkedIn Live, it's the 3rd of February today. I'll apply later on and we'll see when we get in. If we get it from the side of things, if they're that inundated, because clearly live is important, and it's only going to become. I feel like live is important, and it's going to become more important as an opportunity to stand out, because you can look great reading from an auto cue when it's all chopped up and there's B-roll footage put over the top. But when you're live and people can ask you questions and you can't really hide from an audience, especially if there's even a couple of hundred people watching, the chat just gets, because we do YouTube lives and we see this. The spam gets the audience and the chat gets so riled up if you ignore a question, if you try and dodge something, that they just spam and you can't avoid it. So I think that's for the real pros for LinkedIn Live and live content in general. It gives them an opportunity to really stand out. So as I said, I'll do that. I'll apply today, and we'll jump on a live chat, perhaps a Q&A session when that rolls out. Okay, hashtags. There's this. Before we go to hashtags, is LinkedIn just copying what's working on every other platform? Even though, for example, Twitter's just a small amount of text, hashtags, and has really niched down onto that specific thing and has really tried to dominate it. Is LinkedIn just taking everything and throwing it at the wall and seeing what sticks here?
Maybe. Let's be fair. LinkedIn is a social media network, so they're going to be doing things very similar to others. But hashtags have their place. I think one thing to understand: every social media network is different. So yes, they all have hashtags, but the way you use them will differ vastly on each network, and LinkedIn especially. One of the biggest traps I see, and we'll discuss tagging in a minute. People think they're going to sort of hack LinkedIn by putting in 10 to 20 hashtags, tagging in 10 to 20 people, and that's going to guarantee them good engagement. And you might see a small increase, but beyond that, the negative impacts dwarf the positives. Hashtags are great because it makes your content searchable. So people follow hashtags on LinkedIn. People will search keywords, and if it's within the hashtag or within the text, then your post is going to show up. So it makes it visible, but it doesn't have a huge impact on engagement. Having hashtags isn't going to drive more likes and comments. The post will do that. Have a good post. The hashtag is just to make it sort of trackable and searchable.
Sure. And I know this obviously can change at any moment, but I know last year the team over at Sales Hacker, in fact, it might have been a couple of years ago, so maybe this isn't totally valid right now. They found from their own posts and content that like 2 or 3 hashtags perform better than like 27 hashtags, which makes sense, right? Because LinkedIn knows if you're trying to spam things and you're trying to kind of get more juice from a post by just throwing in a load of keywords. So that makes sense. That may be something to bear in mind when we're hashtagging our posts. Okay, right. Next up, how much of our focus needs to be on business content, our expertise, and how much of it can be on just personal stuff. And I'll give you an example here. As we record right now, and this show will come out in a couple of weeks, so it might be wrapped up. It might be even bigger news then. Right now, Wall Street Bets on Reddit is going up against Wall Street. They have pumped up the price of GameStop, I think the stock is, and they're going head to head with these hedge funds, and they're not going to win because the hedge funds have way more tools and way more ways to kind of beat individual investors than what we can even comprehend, right? Way more influence. But with that said, I posted on LinkedIn the other day a kind of almost a meme of what has become this now more global, better understood meme of Wall Street Bets and what they're doing. And it got a few, it did quite well. But then people were commenting underneath, this is nothing to do with business. Why are you posting this in here? And then people started fighting back, and there was almost like a back and forth in the comments of people saying, well, I'm interested in this. If you don't like it, don't post. And you mentioned in the previous episode, I think you used the word the LinkedIn police. They were on full force, kind of, or tried to show their full force in this post. So how much content should we be posting from like even like a meme perspective, a personal perspective, versus more kind of suit and tie, B2B corporate business content?
It's a great question. I'm going to first just explain who the LinkedIn police are, because I talk about the LinkedIn police a lot, and in some of my classes, I've had people come up to me and say, "Well, who are they? What, LinkedIn has their own police department?" People are envisioning
Sure.
LinkedIn's own uniformed officers policing the social media network. LinkedIn police is just an entertaining way of referencing trolls and online bullies, mostly overly negative people that will often try and correct you and say that this is Facebook content, not LinkedIn content, even though the post itself might drive a lot of value. So often there's minimal things you can take away from those type of people. There is no benefit in writing those sort of comments. It has more negative impact on them than it does on you and your post. So that's the LinkedIn police. But in terms of that balance, I personally try and preach the 80-20 split. 80% of your content should be valuable to your audience. 20% can then be promotional. And I know you mentioned in the last episode that you like to go kind of more 100% valuable instead of asking, and both can work very, very effectively. But there's no reason you can't share your own opinions. Just try and make sure it's kept on brand. And sometimes, as you kind of just highlighted, you can post something that maybe is a bit different to what you would normally post. Some people might find it, that they don't enjoy that, but you've got a bigger audience that are going to come and defend you and will probably align to it. You just got to play it cautiously. Sometimes if you go too much into an opinion that's not relevant, and you see it sometimes when people share political stuff or even some sports stuff that just is going to create more aggressive debate than anything, maybe think twice before posting it.
Sure, that makes total sense. Okay, so next up, and again we're going rapid fire through some of these now. Content, how long does it live on LinkedIn? Now, we're talking about the feed here as opposed to articles, which might have a bit of a longer life. But do they die off in a day? or do they can they come back to life after a week if someone, I don't know, Elon Musk's repost your content? Can they come back to life after the fact?
I mean, content lives forever, Will. Anytime I could go on your page now and literally search through pretty much all of your content as far back as I want, and people will search at different lengths. In terms of more recent content, how long it lasts, at the moment, it's kind of extending. So it used to be really within the first sort of 24, 48 hours, that was your core engagement time, and then it would probably drift off into the distance. But now we're kind of seeing that extend to up to about a week, sometimes even just beyond a week, and posts are still getting good engagement over that duration of time, and that's part of LinkedIn changing the algorithm. So yes, it lasts. Yes, it's going to make a lasting impression, and anytime people engage in it, then it's going to continue reaching more and more audiences. So yeah, it lasts, but probably nothing beyond 2 weeks at the moment. I don't think LinkedIn will push it that far.
Sure. I think that's a really fair point and an important point that you said there, of whatever stupid thing you say now are on LinkedIn forever. Is it possible to delete posts?
Yes, yeah, you have full control. So if you change it, and I'll give you one story where I did this once, and I can't tell you the stress it caused me. It was 2 years ago, and I spoke at the Sales Innovation Expo in London, and a friend of mine, Chris Murray, fellow sales author and speaker, amazing guy. We went and had a glass of champagne at the end of the day, big talks, busy day. And I posted on the Daily Sales, there's an Elmo meme where he has like a bowl of fruit or a pile of cocaine, and he dunks his head into this pile of, I'm assuming it's cocaine anyway. Anyway, I don't usually share stuff like that. I try to keep it, family friendly content. But I use that post, and I can't remember if I used the term cold calling and social selling to try and provide a sales funny. Anyway, I posted it. I felt so guilty, Will. I really didn't feel comfortable sharing it. Anyway, by coincidence, LinkedIn crashed for about 15 minutes. But I thought I'd been blocked. I thought that meme suddenly made LinkedIn delete my account, and everything was suddenly gone. And Chris will attest to this. It was the most stressed I think I've ever been, and I felt for him, because for those 15 minutes, I was not in a good place. So yes, you can delete, because all I wanted to do was go and delete it. I felt so bad. I was like, I need to delete that post, but LinkedIn wouldn't let me. So yes, you can delete posts, and hopefully LinkedIn won't crash when you choose to delete something.
I love that. And I'll just add another layer on this of, when you delete a post, it might not be visible on LinkedIn, but it's on the internet. So there's a website called waybackmachine.com, and if you were to go back to that moment in time, it could very well have snapshotted the daily sales page, because it obviously gets so much attention, so much traffic. Wayback Machine will be documenting it. And so if you go back to that, it will probably still be on there in that snapshot. Just as a mental note for anyone who is talking about politics, or is talking about even sports, or as I did, talking about maybe one of my customers in the future will be hedge funds, and I'm here encouraging people to bet against them. So all that is there, and even if you delete it, is somewhat documented. And so don't post anything. I think what you did there is a meme. It's not end of the world stuff, is it? But if you do post something that might be more political, if you do it after maybe a few more glasses of champagne and you regret it in the morning, don't just double check it before you post it. Cool. On that then, and this ties into the length of time that a post lives for, even if it's just in the feed as opposed to in the back end of LinkedIn. Can we reuse posts? If we have a post that does really well, can we reuse it a month later?
100%. Content is an asset, and you should be storing all your posts. Now, there's a few different ways you do it. So I've got a few clients that I consult with, and we literally copy and paste their posts. We usually, I tend to have a rule, no sooner than sort of 3 months. If you post it sooner than that, you are going to potentially reach the same people. But after that period of time, if you're actively growing your audience, which hopefully you will be doing, you're going to have a whole load of new people, and it's going to reach new people. And actually what we found in some of the occasions is the post has performed better the second time round than it did the first time round. So yes, it could definitely work. Personally, I haven't to date copied and pasted a post of mine, which I think is quite an achievement for sort of 5 years of active posting, but I will tell similar stories in different ways. So I'll find different ways to share a tip or a bit of advice, try and sort of dress it up in some slightly different way. So it's still similar things, but it's just presented in a different way. So yes, you can reuse, reshare, retell, either do it the same way, but leave at least 3 months before you do it, or just find different ways to tell that story.
Sure, that makes total sense. And I've done this. I had a post do well the other day. I think it's about 15,000 views on it, a load of comments, and it was verbatim copy and pasted, because I found a spreadsheet of LinkedIn posts that I was trying to document so I could put this into practice, and I lost the document. It was in Google Drive somewhere. So I tested that one particular post, and it did well, and it was exactly the same as what I posted in the past. Still relevant, still had was contextual with my audience. But you're right, I never thought about it like that before. Even if my audience has gone from, say, 6,000 to 8,000 over the past few years, that's 2,000 new people, which is a huge percentage of new individuals that have never seen that post before. So there is value in reposting all content. I love that. I never thought about it in that context before. Okay, so you touched on this in the previous episode, part 1 of LinkedIn content feed, but let's maybe debunk some of this right now. Is there a preferred time of day? Is there a preferred day of the week to post? Does it really matter?
So this is a yes or no answer, Will. We kind of teased this a bit in the last episode. A lot of people ask, when is the best time to post? Thinking that if they post at that specific time slot, it's going to guarantee engagement. And it really is less about the when you post and more about the what you post. Focus on what you're saying, not when you post it. Because quality posts will do well any day. And I'm testing this all the time. Days of the week, weekends, mornings, lunch, afternoons, evenings. And it's been unanimous. If the post itself is good quality, then it can perform well at any time. And again, I've mirrored this, like doing it on a Sunday, doing it on a Thursday. Good quality content will always reign supreme. There are slight increases, and think about this again from a psychological perspective. Your Monday to Friday, your 9 a.m.s, your sort of 8:30 to 9:30 slot where people are arriving at work and probably logging into LinkedIn and checking. You see little peaks. You get your lunchtime peaks between sort of 11:30, maybe 1 o'clock, where people are, again, checking in LinkedIn during their lunch breaks. And then you get that sort of between 4 o'clock and 6 o'clock peak where people are finishing their day and again logging in. You will see slightly increases in those, but I wouldn't focus too much on worrying about posting at those times. Make sure the focus is on the quality of the post.
Yeah, I guess the message is to schedule your time to post so you don't forget it, as opposed to worry about the LinkedIn algorithm. Is that fair enough to say?
Yeah, that's well said.
Cool. So this ties into the next point here on viral content. Now, because we all want a post to go viral. We all think that one post is going to go viral and it's going to make our career. And there's people who that has happened to. I guess we're going into just social media history, going through them, so I won't run through them. But I listened to a podcast called who's hosted by a guy called the True Geordie. He had a couple of viral posts go viral where he was just complaining about the state of Newcastle United. It was done on a video on his phone, and that he's built his career on the back of those videos. And now he's a talented content producer in his own right. And there's plenty of other people who've done this. But should we be aiming for a viral video? Is there a formula or viral content post? Is there a formula for that? Or is this something that just happens so rarely that it's basically randomness?
So there is a lot of value in viral content, but the thing you need to appreciate is having a post go viral doesn't guarantee business. Doesn't mean your inbox is going to suddenly fill with leads and opportunities. Two things to think about. Number one, it needs to be, you want the right content to go viral. It is easy on LinkedIn. There are so many ways you can gamify to get engagement, but it's not going to convert into business because it's not relevant to your industry, not relevant to your audience. It's not going to make you look any more credible or trustworthy. It's just going to show that you can, drive a little bit of early engagement. And I see this time and time again. What you want is the right content to go viral, where people are going to read it, actually see you in the way you want to be seen, and then hopefully convert into inbound inquiries and obviously the sort of other sub effects of that. But again, viral content isn't something you should massively pursue. It is something that will happen. It kind of ultimately boils down to right time, right place. Anyone who gets viral content, you will see they're not getting it every day. No one gets viral content on a daily basis. So don't chase it. Just focus on the quality. And if you focus on that, you might be able to get that sort of right time, right place.
Excuse me. And I know, I guess he's posting about it publicly now, but our friend Jim Keenan, he just spent a ton of money creating what he thought was going to be a viral video and was kind of perhaps misled. He's doing a series of blog posts now over at asalesguy.com. As my voice disappears, I'm just going to grab a swig of water. Sorry about this, Daniel and audience. And so, it's not even, a viral post is not something that you can even guarantee by throwing thousands of dollars of ad spend and thousands of dollars of video production at it as well. I feel like a lot of viral content is, it comes across via survivor bias, in that 20,000 people try and create viral content, 3 people have a viral video, and we only listen to and pay attention to the people who had success, and we tend to discount and ignore the thousands of people who basically probably did the same content, the same thing. It was just at the wrong moment, the wrong time, the wrong political thing had just happened, or the right political thing had happened for someone else. So I guess I guess where I'm going with this is consistency is the important thing here, isn't it? As opposed to just one-off kind of out of the park, big swing successes.
Massively, yeah. You might get lucky with viral content. By all means, really, if you're going to get viral content, it's because you're going to be immersed in creating good, engaging, valuable content. We should be doing anyway. Keep the focus on that, and then just keep your ear to the ground. You will find opportunities where you think, you know what, actually, I'm going to post that today, and then it may just perform, slightly better than others, and may even go into that viral territory. But keep your your motivation authentic. Focus on creating engaging, valuable content for your audience. That should be the focus.
You said something earlier on in the previous answer, Daniel, which I really want to double down on. Right, you said that, and this brings the conversation all back down to earth. You said, kind of paraphrasing here, that there's no point in creating viral content if it's not going to generate new business. Because that's what we're here for, right? We're here to drive revenue, to get those commission bonuses in. Is that a good kind of rule that we should have at the back of our mind of, yes, a viral piece of content might build a bigger audience, but if that audience isn't going to be relevant to our product or service that we're selling, what's the point? Because, if you want to become a social media superstar, there's other content, there's other shows to listen to. It should we always have at the back of our mind that, is this content going to build an audience that can then convert into potential customers, or be part of a network that can introduce me to potential customers in the future?
Yeah, we all see it, Will. We all see these Instagram influencers that buy or manage to get these huge audiences, and then when they try and sell them something, they don't buy it. There's no value in that audience unless you want it for the sheer ego fact. And if that's what you want, then it's not for me to judge that. But for most people, and certainly salespeople, business owners, etc., they're going to want to see a positive return. And so it needs to be the right audience that do buy into you, that you've earned that ability to influence them, which you can't buy or hack. So yeah, you might get that quick engagement, it might make you feel good. Yeah, my post went viral. It might make you feel like you're a celebrity, unless you can convert it into business. That's where the real challenge lies. So again, go at it with a genuine, authentic approach. Make sure you are focused on it. But we always need to wear those sales hats. We need to have that sales heart. That doesn't mean you're going out trying to pitch and sell to everyone, but it means you're always trying to look for opportunities to create conversations, because you're helping people. That's what you're doing. You're not selling, you're helping people, and you're focused on doing that.
Love it. And this is definitely an episode for another time. But you mentioned buy audiences there, so clearly, I think I can say for both of us, that's never going to work. It might have worked and it works on new platforms. You can do all kinds of black hat stuff to build and grow an audience, but legitimately, LinkedIn does have its own ad platform. Is there any value in using LinkedIn ads to drive traffic to your own content, for example? Is the value in doing that? I know LinkedIn ads are probably, from my experience, are incredibly expensive versus other like Facebook ads and things like that. But is that a potential strategy?
It is, but right now LinkedIn is kind of the social media network for organic reach. So you'd be silly not to capitalize on that first and invest heavily in the organic reach. But yeah, absolutely, sponsored ads work. What I would recommend is you really seek out professionals, because it is complicated. I see a lot of people throw away a lot of money on LinkedIn, Facebook, spending on ads when they have no experience or they're not using the right strategies with it. So do it right if you're going to do it. But LinkedIn right now is where Facebook was sort of 10 years ago, where organic reach is at an all-time free accessibility, opportunity. So capitalize on that.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so let's answer one audience question and then we'll wrap up the show. So I assume you've got it right there to hold up. But if you send in a question, either to myself or Daniel Disney, hopefully by the time this show goes out, there'll be a form and a website over at socialsellingshow.com. Daniel will very kindly send you a signed copy of his book, The £1 Million LinkedIn Message. So today's question comes in from, as I pull up the doc again, comes in from John. And John asks, Daniel, should I be linking out from my feed content posts to other places, or should I keep everything organically within the LinkedIn platform itself?
I love this question because I see so many other, I'm going to say experts. Some of them are genuinely experts in other fields, but other, self-professed LinkedIn experts saying, don't link, it's going to damage it. And I can tell you for a fact, if the post is good, the link is not going to have a negative impact. I've had plenty of posts with links do huge numbers because the post is good. So the link itself isn't damaged. Yes, there is some logic to it because LinkedIn doesn't really want you going to other platforms, but that doesn't mean they're going to be able to stop a good post delivering good results. So don't stress too much about it. Doesn't mean you should have a link in every single post. It's hard to justify the relevance of that. Only have a link in where it genuinely is relevant and obviously valuable for the audience. So when I share our posts, I tend to include the link in the posts. Sometimes I might chuck it in the comments, but by no means will there be a significant difference in either way of doing that.
Sure, I've been putting it in the comments because I've, again, been led to believe that was the best way to do it. But from a user experience, if they've got to then, I get it from, so you might be gaming the algorithm slightly of then the user's got to go through all the comments and there's more dwell time on the post and they've got to find it and click it. But from a user experience perspective, I want people to see a video, and because I can't host this video on LinkedIn because it's going to be longer than 10 minutes, obviously a live, perhaps we could do the show live at some point and it could live on there from that perspective. But I want the user to be able to click the link and get off the platform as quick as possible. And I had someone pose a similar question to me in a LinkedIn comment recently, and he was asking, why don't you break up content and post it on LinkedIn more? Why do you always link to YouTube? And the answer for me, this is less relevant for a sales professional as opposed to content creators. I get thousands of dollars a month from YouTube ad revenue. Why am I going to post something for, I'll link it on YouTube and then I'll link it on LinkedIn and then post it, the link out to YouTube, because I want people to go to YouTube because they pay me for it. So that is exactly why I do it, barring the kind of requirements of length of post and file size and things like this. But that explained it to him. And so, let me ask you this then, Daniel. Should I just be putting that post, the link in the post itself from, again, a user experience perspective where people are more likely to find it, more likely to click on it, and more likely to have a better experience with my content?
Well, we talked about this in the last episode. We'll test it. Let's share the results. Go and test it. We'll both do it. We'll both do the next couple of episodes. We'll do, one with it in the post, one with it in the comments, and we'll share our responses. Certainly from experience, the differences are often quite minimal, so I wouldn't stress too much about it. But let's do this. Let's practice what we preach. Let's go and test it, and we can deliver results in a future episode.
Yeah. So, and very literally, what I'll do is I'll send you a trackable link, whether it goes to your YouTube profile, my YouTube profile, it doesn't matter. We'll use the same link, and then we can literally track the number of clicks. We'll do that, and we'll report back in next week's episode. So with that, Daniel, anything else you want to add to this? I feel they've gone quite in depth in this, in the part 1 and part 2 from these two episodes on LinkedIn feed content. Is there anything else you want to add on top of this, or have we covered all the bases here?
I think we've covered everything, Will. It's been a great couple of episodes focusing on content. Again, the core moral of the story with this is go and share content, give value to your audience, but make sure you have that authentic heart. Make sure you're genuinely motivated by giving value to your prospects, your customers, and your network. That's where success lies. Don't do it for the likes. Don't do it for the comments. Don't do it to try and sell something. Do it because you want to give value.
Amazing stuff. And I'll just add one later to that of consistency. That is something I've lacked. It's something I see you do very well, Daniel. We'll talk to you about it on how to schedule, how to plan ahead, tools we can use to auto post and stuff in the future. But consistency is the thing that I feel the people who really crush it on LinkedIn, like yourself, have really got down. So with that, everything that we talk about in the show, everything we talk about is available in the show notes over at socialsellingshow.com. That was Daniel Disney, the king of social selling. My name is Will Barron. I'm the founder over at salesman.org, and we'll speak with you again on next week's episode of the Social Selling Show.
See you next time.